The Ralph Bivins Project, and we're here today with Mike Spears. He's managing principal at Lee and Associates Houston. He's done real estate in Texas for quite some time, and Lee and Associates has grown a lot in recent years, and so we just want to talk to him about what's going on in Houston. Hey, here we are at the first of the year, pretty much. We've got about couple of months under our belt. How are you feeling about things in general? Your sentiment for the market and the economy and what's going on?
Yeah, I would say very optimistic, even somewhat. And by the way, thank you very much for having me on today, Ralph. I really appreciate it. We are big fans of yours. We've always read everything you put out. You do great work, and we are excited and an honor to be on today. So thank you for having me.
Oh, yes.
Asking about Houston and how it's going. I mean, I think just about anybody, if you talk to, is relatively excited. There's always going to be, turmoil in the market and things of that effect. But I'll tell you, there's certain things that are exciting me, and we'll get into that, more so than in previous years. I think we're seeing change, especially when we start talking about industrial, or say the word change. Let's say, let me rephrase that. I want to say recalibration. And I think it's a testament to how diverse Houston has become and how strong we've become and how good our infrastructure has become over the years. I'm not going to talk and get everybody worked up talking about the 80s and how difficult things were at that time, but this is an entirely different city, and one that can still greatly benefit when the energy market is doing great, but it's also set up in such a way now that we're not as dependent as we used to be, solely on that. And so it's really given Houston a lot of strength. It's really, really allowing us to pursue the potential that we have. And I think for the next several decades, we're going to see some very exciting things happen here. One in particular, I think that when I say recalibration is that, we've had a boom of sorts. I say the word boom. It's been a surge for the last several years post COVID, and on the industrial world, primarily with distribution space. Yes. And I think Houston has started to grow into itself. There's always been, Dallas to the north has been such a major distribution hub for many, many years. And, as big as Houston is, it still had a lot of catching up to do. And I think we really did a good job of for the last several years to do that. But what we're seeing now, and this is going to be something that's affecting everybody across the U.S. or in all sorts of the industrial market, is the big deals, the big space. They found their homes, right? Everything from your Home Depots to Apple to, and I'm sure we'll talk about the recent announcement that came out with the Toro District and Tesla and all the big names. And guess what? They're moving into this area, and there's a big reason they want to do that. But what we're also seeing now is that as things continue to change on a global basis, in fact, I would say supply chains and whatnot have really never made that much sense when you really think about it, but they make a lot of sense when you start putting things in this area right here. And we still have work to do, but we're transitioning into more of a manufacturing surge, if you will. And you're starting to see deals that, aside from the distribution, which has remained steady. And I'm trying not to jump around too much, but touching on that though, the distribution stuff or deals has been great. It's been a surge, but and I think you might hear some sentiment that would say that, well, it's cooling off, or it's not as good, or whatever the negative sentiment that you might sometimes hear. But the truth of the matter is, it's kind of like saying, you'll relate to this one, but it's like trying to say, well, Michael Jordan only scored 41 points last night. I mean, yeah, he scored 68 the night before that. And so are we all really let down that he scored 41 points? That's still pretty good, Yeah. I compare that to distribution. But
sure, there's a ton of construction. There still is. Yeah. I don't know what exactly the figure is, but like 20 million square feet in a pipeline or something. That's unbelievable. That's in the big build, like you said, back in the past, Houston just didn't get those huge buildings, and now we've got 1,000,000 square foot buildings all up and down places. It's everywhere. That Beltway 8 is got a ton of them. It was, the South Beltway 8, like from from Telephone Road, Hobby Airport area over to the Southwest Freeway. You go along there now, and it's wall to wall, millions and millions of square feet. It's pretty phenomenal. We never saw that before, so that's not like this.
No, it's and there's more coming. The interesting part, though, it's getting absorbed. I mean, we had a tremendous amount of absorption of that, of those deliveries in this last year, for example, and heading into 2026. I mean, it still looks really, really good. I mean, funny thing is, you look at those statistics, and primarily you're looking at leasing, right? We had better part of about 20 million square feet be absorbed with I think it was only about 18.5 million that was delivered. So, we absorbed faster pace than we were delivering. But one thing that I think often gets overlooked is that in addition to the 20 million square feet of absorption and leasing that was done, you had over 20 million square feet of sale transactions that occurred. So that in itself is also absorption. So stuff is the product's moving, But again, I say, we're really looking at a big uptick in the manufacturing sector as things begin to move back to the States. And, this is the best area, I'd say on the planet to be thinking about doing that. We still have some obstacles or challenges, but I think we will overcome them. And some things have changed there I can talk about. But for now, I would tell you that it's, you really zoom out a bit and you look at, why Houston, why this area. I mean, you look at the Texas Triangle, you see how Austin, operationalizes the ideas that come out of Silicon Valley. You have Dallas that leverages their banking system to take Austin's brain work and turn it into mass manufacturing. You've got San Antonio that has a lower than even the Texas average cost of labor, and they're really, really good at moving around hunks of metal and blowing anything out on an assembly line. But the real rock star of the bunch here is Houston. Why? Because, we play with Austin and in tech. We same with Dallas and automation. We are the best at value add manufacturing. We've got cheap food, cheap labor, relatively easy regulatory measures. We've got the port. We've got the airports that are expanding. We've got a great medical center. We've all the things a lot of us already know and we've been talking about for years now. But we're really going to get to see. We're starting to see it, and then we're really going to get to see over the next 10, 20 years the real benefits of all of that. And as we continue to grow and we bring this in, and it just makes sense. Why would you build something all the way over in China when you can do it here and do it better with a higher skilled labor force and overall all the benefits that come with it? Matter of fact, I didn't know this, but did you know that Houston, in a manufacturing sense, is ranked number 2 globally to the Germans on value add manufacturing? Who knew? I mean, an actual city, right?
Wow. Yeah, one thing you're talking about more manufacturing here. We're just a few days ago, we heard this announcement from Apple saying they're manufacturing their mini Macs here in addition to, and already we're doing, servers for AI being built here in Houston. And now I think they took another 250,000 feet and they're going to do mini Macs production here,
doubling the size of their place on because they had 250,000 feet over on Fairbanks, and they're actually doubling that to do the Minimax. So they're adding another 250,000 feet, and then I think they're doing like a 20,000 foot training facility for it as well. So
training. That's something. That seems like some solid core there that's going to happen. And if you train people to do it, you're building. We have the labor, but all that whole, it's kind of their Beltway 8 North near 290 up in there, and NVIDIA, the chip maker, has a plants going there too. I never would have picked that location, but they're really serious about it, and with the count NVIDIA and Apple, that's, it's well over 1 million feet of new manufacturing that's just popped up recently.
You didn't even mention Tesla with 600 plus thousand square feet, those guys, little company, Daikin, another 300,000 feet that Daikin took. Mahindra USA with another 300,000 plus feet. I mean, these are deals also that are relatively recent. I'm not even getting into over the last year. I think the challenge is going to end up being that, again, I think we're well on our way to figuring it out. I think we don't have a ton of time, but the United States in general has got to increase its manufacturing output by over 100% within the next 10 years. And we're going to do it, but the big challenge is going to be power. I mean, I don't think that I remember, and believe it or not, I've been in this, I was just talking about the other day, I'm going into my 26th or middle of my 26th year in this business. And, earlier on, going back to the earlier days of the career, that was never as big a problem, making sure we had enough power, enough juice to get facilities. But with all of the data center activity that's occurring, and they've got a long ways to go to accommodate what they need, right? Well, that uses up a ton of juice. Well, then you've also got this manufacturing. Well, manufacturing uses up a lot of power, and so the challenge is going to be getting that power. And getting enough power to the spaces and things of that effect. I mean, it also would in some cases, you can see buildings that are somewhat functionally obsolete in that respect because of the need for the power, and they don't have it. Used to, it worked fine for them, but now some of those buildings are going to, either need to be repurposed or demolished even and redone as they continue to grow and we grow into what's coming. So
the power issue is big, and of course, Elon Musk is talking about, generating power or getting solar in outer space and shooting it down here some way. That's going to, I don't know how that's going to happen.
What I was reading, it was the data centers. They're talking about doing data centers in space, right? And it's because the biggest power usage in those data centers isn't, I always would have thought, the processors, right? But actually it's the cooling system, because those things run really hot. And you put 1 million of those things in a room, it gets really hot in there, and so you have to constantly be, cooling them off. Well, if you move them to space, it's cold up there, so they don't have as much of a problem keeping it cool. Plus, you don't have the issues with solar that you have when you're on the surface of the planet, because you get cloud cover and things like that. You don't have it. It's up there in the space. You got an infinite supply. And that's at least the theory behind it. I mean, they've got some things. They've got some work to do to get there. So.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds challenging, but hey, they keep finding answers to these things.
They keep finding answers. Yep.
But yeah, it's really exciting though. You're talking about Houston as a major manufacturing place, and you love that. So we thought about in the past is building oil field equipment and things of that nature, and but I still have heard, and I may have read something from your research department, Mary Darrell may have written it, I'm not sure, but just talking about the heavy manufacturing buildings, there's demand for that, old school type of manufacturing with cranes and things like that. Is there a little bit more of that happening now?
A lot more, and I think there's going to be even more of that coming over the next few years. And in 26, I mean, we've already seen. Again, we kind of went, which is great. I mean, being an industrial broker, it's great to have some versatility there. It's almost like a seesaw to some level, right? It's for a while you see distribution go up and manufacturing's down. Well, we're just doing more distribution deals. And then it changes. And so now we're just going to do more manufacturing and less of the distribution. So, and I want to take away from distribution. It's not that it's in really bad shape. Remember, it's Michael Jordan scoring 41 points. Don't get too disappointed here, guys. That's pretty good. But it's just not 68 points.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
really helpful.
Yeah, it's not. There's no fear of overbuilding, in your opinion, that you get overbuilt on the distribution. That's not going to happen.
I don't see that happening. I mean, there are different sub-markets from time to time that, we can scratch our heads and go, man, I hope this works out. And then we've watched it happen, and then and they get it, and it gets absorbed, and we move on down the road to the next one. But it's been a great run, continues to be. So
hey, well, so we're talking about new stuff happening, this year already. Just I want to see if you can see this.
yeah.
That's it's for the Toro district. Everybody. That's what the big talk of the town, the Toro district out in Bridgeland, where they're our professional NFL team, the Texans, is doing some. I think they say 83 acres out there in Bridgeland, near the Grand Parkway. Tell me what that's kind of different to think about.
Yeah,
sports being, that's still pretty suburban out there, a long way from downtown. But tell me, what about Bridgeland?
Oh man,
what do you think about the Texans?
Well, first off, Bridgeland itself has been an outstanding project for Houston, and really, a lot of props to the developers and Howard Hughes and how they've done that. Is they've laid it out great. It's going to be, I think I was reading it, when it's done, they're not that far off, but it's going to be upwards of 17,000 plus homes, or no, did I say, I may have read that wrong. Sorry. 70,000 plus homes. My apologies.
Yeah.
But just, you talked, the Toro district, you've got that 83 acre project. The Texans are taking, I think it's 22 acres, 25 acres, something like that, where they're building a state of the art practice facility. And I think when it's all said and done, they're, somewhere in the upwards of, don't hold me to this exact number, but I want to say it's north of 15,000 jobs that are going to get brought into that area.
Yeah. And there's some kind of a stadium situation that's covered that they're going to have like 60, like a high school stadium. I don't know, but they said like 16,000 seat facility.
Yeah.
But still they're going to keep playing, we think, forever, keep playing there at NRG Stadium.
It's going to get interesting, I think. I think their lease isn't up till I think I was reading it's 2032, maybe.
That's right. 2032.
I would. There are options.
There are options. But anyway, I just did that. There's still a lot of land for Howard Hughes and a lot of other people to develop. Of course, Chevron, I believe, has 70 acres, like right next to this the Toro. The Texans facilities.
Yep. And I was saying earlier, a lot of the big companies and these big deals we were seeing done, they've all planted and landed. It's all a lot of that in that Northwest submarket. I would say right now, we spend a lot of time talking about the port for good reason, but I think looking at that Northwest submarket, it has been hot and continues to be, driven by the homes. The number of homes being built, Bridgeland being one of many of the projects that are out that way, but that is a very high growth area. But I bring up those big deals because, sure, they get done. There's still, as you said, there's still land out there, but there are lots and lots of companies that do business with your Home Depots and with Tesla and with all these different facilities that are being built out there. And so I think what's going to happen, or what you see then, is you're going to see everybody following suit, and the smaller stuff that your mom and pops and mid-sized companies and such that do a lot of business with these bigger facilities, and they kind of tend to consolidate around them and whatnot. Daikin, that's already seen a tremendous amount of growth just right where the Daikin facility is. You go over there and it's like, what? You go back, what is it, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and you're driving around, it's a bunch of farmland with cows, and horses running around on it. Now now there's traffic jams,
Yeah. I saw something from an organization called the Tilt Up Association, Tilt Up Walls, how they build warehouses. But as I said, this 4 million square foot building was the biggest tilt up that had ever been completed. I've never been inside it, but I know it's big, and there are a lot of guys working there. That's where there used to be nothing. So that's a big driver. Bridgeland itself is a big driver, and the Toro district, Howard Hughes is serious about it, and they know how to do large scale, long term stuff too. What they worked on worked on the Woodlands for 25 years before you said, wow, the Woodlands is really something. This is kind of
It is.
like that, I guess. But Bridgeland is still, in terms of home selling, it's like in the top 10 or something in terms of nationwide.
Yeah, I think it's ranked number 7. I was reading somewhere. Texas is number 3.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's doing well. But it's all a testament to how well it was laid out and how you get the right group that develops it and really puts their strength behind it, and it shows. They've done a tremendous job with it. It's my kids are they're getting ready to graduate high school, or they're juniors, and so I'm not doing anything for a while. But that's my wife's already looking at some of these other development projects, and what's coming after that when they go to college. So we may be looking at that area, but and the prices have gone up. Oh man, I mean, you've seen, and I think they will continue to do that. They're going to continue to raise. It was funny. We were kind of laughing the other day, when we were talking about the Toro district. I would have really, and we're actually working on it, but it's a lot harder to track the smaller land tracts and deals that are on the market like that, like you can space, industrial space, for example. But I'm working on it. I would sure like to see what the asking rates or asking prices for land per square foot was in that pocket over there on February 1st versus what it is on February 27th. And
it's higher now. It's higher now.
But I promise you, there a lot of those were taken down and put right back up at significantly higher prices, and they'll probably get it. Some of them, or a lot of them will. So, exciting times.
Going back to like traditional industrial, like we're talking about, distribution and manufacturing buildings, which there's been so much of lately. I was just wondering what you were thinking about just some certain submarkets around the Houston area. Like, what about the ship channel? Is that what's going on with industrial warehouses and distribution and manufacturing around the ship?
It continues to be extremely strong, and I think that that east ship channel submarket is one where I think it continually outpaces demand, demand ends up outpacing supply more often than not, right? And you see the activity is still there. I mean, it ebbs and flows at times. I think with the tariff stuff and all that, it creates a bit of an uncertainty, so it slows some things up, but they ultimately end up getting done. It's really not it's not something that kills a deal or kills a market. It just slows it down because people become less likely to make a decision there. But overall, I mean, I think I just read that somewhere the other day that I think they broke a single day trucking, like the trucking world, like trucking containers. I have to look at the stat. I had it around here somewhere, but in a single day, and just recently, I mean, they had a tremendous amount of
containers, shipping containers, and being hauled off by trucks.
Yeah. I mean, it's and they broke that record. I mean, they're breaking a record in a market or in an area that was already it wasn't ever slow, right? I mean, it's always that port has been a big backbone for the Houston market. It's what really puts us and sets us apart from many other markets in the U.S. And we've in that area alone, I think you will continue to see growth, and as things continue to come back, into the states to do the manufacturing and whatnot, you're going to continue to see that area. That's where it's all going, right? And then getting shipped out of it. So I think that one's great. If you want to talk other submarkets, again, I go back and tell you, I continue to watch that Northwest submarket. It's one that is just continues to, outpace expectations. And I think there's still a lot of room to go. I literally driving around and seeing just what's happened in the last few years. It's crazy. We've got all these great web services and things that we use nowadays that allow us to, help track things and all that. But you really want to get a view of it. You really want to get out there and drive. And it just, I mean, it's you'll think you know where you're going, and then you get out there and you're like, what's happened? All these buildings they just came out of nowhere. So, and that's going to continue to happen. So, the other
there's nothing like burning shoe leather. That's one of my Yeah, that was one of my deals when I was working for a newspaper. Man, don't try to sit there and figure it out by your desk. Go out there and see what's going on.
Right. It's I think China still leads, or I'm not talking about the port, but still see a lot there. But you have Mexico. That's a lot of things are going into Mexico now. That this is an obvious place for them to head. And I think I want to say the vacancy or the vacancy out at the port has risen just a little, but we're really seeing more equilibrium. I think, again, back to my Michael Jordan comment, it's been so hot, it's been so active that for it to go up a few points because there's some major development that occurs, it's not a fundamental. It doesn't mean it's not indicative of the health of that market so much. It's just things are going to kind of tick up and tick down there, and we'll be looking up before you know it, and all of a sudden it drops 3 points. We're all wondering where the buildings went. They're all leased up, but we've recalibrated. I mean, another thing that it's everybody's getting sick of talking about it was interest rates, right? We saw some relief there. I don't know that we're going to see a lot, in the near future. But it's funny to me as we were looking back again and taking note. Interest rates at one point in time were higher than they are now, and we were making deals, and so it's almost like we forgot how to do a deal, for a while, and then we figured it back out. And so we are starting to see deals and things are loosening up. Slight interest rate decreases, sure, and we've seen some relief, but for the most part, it's just they've recalibrated and they've learned how to relearned how to go back out and make those deals work. And rates have gone up. I mean, we didn't see as much rent growth as we'd have wanted prior years, and I think we got, I don't want to say the word lazy, but we got spoiled. But now the rates are catching up to kind of numbers they need to see with cost and interest rates, that deals start making sense again, and they're making them. I mean, we're watching them happen, and and like I said, all the big companies are showing up and taking space and more space and more space, and so now we're going to see it happen with the manufacturing world.
I talked to one of your guys a year ago, I guess, or something. I was having a lot of success down on the border, the Eagle Pass, the Mexican border down there. Tell me about that a little bit.
You referred to, there's Eagle Pass, but then there's Laredo and McAllen in those markets. Yes, I think they were heading towards a point where it was a bit overbuilding a little bit. I think that'll work itself out, but with a lot of the transition in manufacturing heading to the United States or heading to this continent, the obvious place to put it is right across the border in Mexico, right? And I think what makes Laredo strong and such a great place. I've been down there several times, and it blows my mind to watch. It looks like an ant farm and just miles of trucks. I mean, it's 30 plus miles long every day going in and another line going out of 18-wheelers bringing product in. Well, with the laws and the way they work with regards to trade and whatnot, they have to hit a warehouse and let's say, what do they call it? Lost for words right now, but they have to transition out. They have to change drivers, right? Versus shipping it directly all the way up, unless you have a specific type of visa, Class B1, I think, visa. And they don't just hand those out. And so, yeah, it's an obvious place. And you saw, and the market stood up for it. It took a while for, I think, for the big developers to really take note of it. But now, I mean, they're there. Now the product's there, and it's the tariffs put a little bit of a damper on it and slowed it down a little bit. But I think that's going to continue to get worked out, and I mean, you'll see that, I think, continue to grow for many, many, many years. I mean, because it's obvious. I mean, you look at, Mexico's our number one partner when it comes to how we do that and, manufacturing and whatnot. You got Monterrey, which is just unreal when you see the amount of square footage there. Then you see what they're adding and how it's growing. Eagle Pass is where the other bridge is, and that's where, for the longest time, they've sent a lot of overflow from the bridge that goes into the Laredo area over into the Eagle Pass to get through. I don't think it's developed up yet. It will. I think it absolutely will. And there are some projects underway as we speak. But, But the funny thing is, there's a lot of companies that, in fact, I don't want to name the name because I'll get it wrong, but we were looking at it, and you would drive across the bridge in Eagle Pass because they were making a product on the other side of the border that they utilized, right? Mm-hmm. And they would drive it all the way past this facility. It's a big facility where they were utilizing it. 3 hours over to Laredo, parking it in a 500,000 square foot warehouse. And then when they needed the product, they'd ship it right back into Eagle Pass, into the facility that it was in. So they literally would drive right by it. I think, sure, that's a logical, at some point there's going to be a 500,000 foot building sitting right there in Eagle Pass next door to their facility, right? And there's more than one company like that. There's a lot of examples like that. So there's demand there, I think, that will eventually get done, or lead to a deal being done in the real estate world. So
one thing I've noticed about and we've mentioned it in Realty News Report. I hope everybody, we've got Realty News Report. We got a weekly newsletter that goes out to thousands of people like you, Mike, and distributed via email. And then we have the realtynewsreport.com that's online all the time, refreshed with different deals and stories. So we got those two, but we have. So I've noticed that you've also been beefing up your companies on the office side of things. You've been beefing up the kind of like the landlord representatives. You've hired several people in that area, and it seems like you're really gearing that segment up.
Oh yeah, I mean, the office world. I mean, that's not my bailiwick, but we've watched it. It's recovering nicely, I think, and in a lot of cases, I think with office, you've seen it kind of bifurcate. They say they're going after quality now. Flight to
quality, that's the thing.
If the A stuff's doing great, the lower stuff is not doing so great or as well, right? And yes, we've been watching that, and we were excited. We added some great, very strong Wade Bolin and his team, and part of that, Bill Insel and Blake Barilio have joined the team over the last few years, and they are great. I mean, they're bringing in a lot of product. They're getting leases done, and we are going to continue to do that to expand our office side so that we can, continue to be a full service firm where you can, no matter what it is your company is in need of, we've got experts that can get in and really handle whatever they're in need to, whatever they need to do. We can provide them a solution and not just a market report. We can really put some things behind it. We've also brought in total rock star, Brandy Dees, who's come in and really taken on some big accounts nationwide, and we're excited with her. She's actually taking a very big role in Lee & Associates across the U.S.
Really?
With the platform. Oh yeah, I mean, she's amazing. She's done an outstanding job, her and her team. She's building a heck of a machine there, and we've even started getting into the we've opened offices that were very complimentary to Houston in the Louisiana area. Have a great team there with Evan Scroggs and Clint Shepard and Will and whatnot. And then we started dabbling, even got into the mini storage or self storage world, and brought in Will Reed, whose past experience has been primarily development of those projects, but he's also pretty active in the brokerage side as well. So we're real excited for that, and that's very new for us. And so it's a great business line, and it's one that we continue to, we've always been very strong on the industrial world, but to really service our clients right, we need to be able to provide all of those services in every aspect. And so with a mind towards quality and bringing in true professionals that know what they're doing, not just somebody that puts their name on a door and says, that's what I do now. We want the right people. So we really focused on that. So
it's exciting. You had a lot more people working there than you did a few years ago when
Yeah, we're over 45 brokers now. It's when we came on board in 2015, when we became, my group came over from TNRG, we had 18 brokers, and all very, very, very strong group.
and now we've got 45. So it's we've gotten a bit bigger. So
Yeah.
I have more gray hair than I had then too. But
all right. Mike Spears, Lee and Associates, Houston. Great talking to you, man, and appreciate all your insights and appreciate your time. And we keep up with what's going on and see what you guys are up to. So thanks a lot for visiting with me.
Thank you, Ralph, for having me on. It's been a blast, and hey, you keep it up too, man. We really enjoy your product and what you put out there, and I'm a big fan and a big supporter. I continue to rely on it. So
thanks, Mike.
You bet.